And welcome students as we get into our first Python lesson. Today we're going to discuss using print statements. Now we did do a little bit with those in kind of our introductory to wrapping our mind around Python, but now we're actually going to get into the meat of using things. So even though we can just throw code up in Python and use it the way we have been doing it, I want to start getting into the habit of constructing good code. So let's go ahead and fire up idle here. And of course, we want to make a new program. So what you're going to do in today's thing, of course, you're going to do the same thing. You come here to new file, and you're going to, of course, create your new script. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm just going to, of course, save this on my desktop. You, of course, will be saving it on your N drive. And what you can go ahead and do is you'll see some labs inside of the Schoology submission pages. So make sure you just name them appropriate ones. So for example, the first one would be called like lab 1 or lab 1A. You just make sure you name it that file so that way when you turn the submission in, not only is it easier for you to find, it's easier for your instructor to find and grade as well. So for this one though, I'm just going to call this demo since this is going to be the file moving forward. I'm going to show you the various code to work on. So what we want to do here is, while we couldn't just, like we've been doing, put print hello world up here. And we can run the program and it works just fine. So we can say print, parentheses, quote, hello world, end quote, parentheses, save, hit F5 to run, and of course we get hello world. While this does work, it's not really going to lead us to eventually what we're going to be doing later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. What we want to do is actually create a kind of a main function to run a program. So that way later on when we actually get into functions, we're a little bit more used to some of the syntax rules and stuff like that that Python uses. Because even though Python uses dynamic white spacing, it does have its own set of rules that you have to follow. So for example, let's create our main. So whenever you want to start something, and this is what you're going to start off your program with, is def main, double parentheses, colon. What this does is tell Python, hey, this is the main function. This is the main thing that I want to run first. So you're going to put that up there. Okay, then hit enter. Now you'll notice that it was very nice and tabbed that over for me. All right, if you don't have it tabbed over automatically, maybe you, for example, you forgot to put this and just enter, you'll see that it doesn't tab over. All right, it should tab over automatically. If it does not tab over automatically for you, even if you put this in here after you hit enter, just hit the tab key on your keyboard because Python's going to be looking for that tab to be there. Now let's go ahead and put in here print. Let's do our hello world again. All right, and now I'm going to hit enter. And I want to get out of this program. Now there's nothing I have to put here to signify that it's the end of this main. I don't have to put end or return or anything like that for this. So I'm just going to hit enter again and hit backspace, and now I'm out of that main call. Now I'm just going to add down here main with parentheses. And what this does right here is it tells Python, hey, this is what I wanted to do. This is me actually using it. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this. And you can see it says hello world. So it's the same program, but it's stylistically a lot more professional. So this is what we ultimately want to do. Now I want to warn you about something. So I'm just going to cut this right here for a second. And I'm going to put main at the top. If I do it this way and put main first and then run it, you can see I get an error. All right. The reason why I get an error here is because Python says, hey, I'm calling main, but I don't see it. Because the way Python works is it starts at the top and works its way down. So in order for Python to be able to access the main, it needs to see it first. So I'm going to just back this up. And you can see that the definition, that's what def stands for, definition, it has to be up here first. So whenever I do this, I want to make sure to do def main, parentheses, colon, and then inside of this is going to be my code. So if I want to do, let's say, more output statements, I want to print out something else. So let's say I want to print, let's say today's date. Let's just say Wednesday. Let's just have it say Wednesday. How about that? All right. So print Wednesday. Now you notice, of course, I have here a space, and this one does not have a space. Both of these are okay in terms of how the syntax is. Me personally, I like going like this because it's just one less character I have to type on the keyboard. And go hello world and Wednesday. So now we have two print statements. Of course, I can also output numbers. If I just want to output, let's say, a number, Let's just say I want to do 12.5. All right, and let's go ahead and run that. You can see now it says Hello World, Wednesday, 12.5. And it's all happening inside this main. Now, I can technically come down here outside this and say print this message is outside the main. All right, so if I run this, do you think it's going to come before the main or after the main? Well, let's find out. So we get this message is outside the main. We get Hello World Wednesday in 12.5. This helps prove that Python is working from the top of our program down, because it did this print message first before it did this. Even though we see these print messages first, the way to think about this is that these three print messages right here are all underside of this. So when you are working on your programs here, the thing that you're going to do is make sure that this does not happen and that everything is inside of this def main. Very important that it's in there, because otherwise you're going to see something like this happen, for example, where we had this message appear first and then the stuff that was inside the main. So stuff could appear out of order. You could end up with the wrong result. It's very important that we keep it all inside of there. So that's going to wrap up what I have for you today on some of the print stuff, other than a few small formatting things. All right, so in regards to a couple formatting things, if we want to do a couple different things here, for example, I want to, let's say, hello world, instead of saying hello in the world on one line, I want it on 2 lines. I can just do a /n, for example, and I'll do hello world. Oops, and I want to run that, not just open the shell. And save, and now I have hello world, and you can see I still have my Wednesday 12.5. So /n is what allows me to do a new line. If I make that a /t, that will do a tab. You can see now it's tabbed. We can also, of course, do things like quotes, because remember, if I just do regular quotes like this, Python's going to think I'm trying to make it print something with as like a message. So if I wanted to do like a quote here, I do /quote, and you can see now I have a quote in there. All right, if I wanted a quote here, maybe at the end of the world, I can do the same thing there. And see, now I have the double quotes. So just some quick things to kind of point out for you, but that's all there is for today, folks. So I will see you next time. Hopefully they give you some good resources to use when you're working on the labs.